very impromptu, unexpected live, so I know it might take a little bit for anybody to show up, if they do. So, anyway, I just out here having coffee and thought it'd be nice to have a chat with y'all, or at least post a little, just have a little video catching up with y'all anyway. Like I said, very unplanned, just last minute. Hey, let's go live thing. So, and just right now, just me and Jasper. Jasper, you say hi. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing okay this morning. This will probably be a pretty quick live anyway. I just wanted to, like I said, just wanted to kind of catch up with everybody. So, I haven't met you in here yet. So, I was just thinking, today is September the 12th. With it yesterday being September 11th, I often think I would never want another 9/11 because of, the horrible things that happened that day. But I would love to have a few more 9/12s, September 12s. It the way our country felt the day after 9/11 was, it was just it was sad yet amazing at the same time. It felt like, hey Cinderella, it just felt like, I remember on 9/12, it just felt like everybody, it didn't matter what color you were, what religion you were, what anything. We were all just Americans. But anyway, like I said, I just figured I'd pop on here while I was having some coffee. Let's see, I'm sorry. Hey Kathy Ann. About to jump in the car to do school and grocery run, but wanted to say good morning. Gonna be listening to some more 9/11 Dogs every year for the anniversary. Yeah, thank you for hopping on. I'm glad you did. Yeah, I tend to listen to 9/11 stuff like year round. I try not, you know, my husband worries sometimes because he's like, that's unhealthy to be that obsessed with it. Like, wouldn't say I'm obsessed. I just like learning about it. So I try to go for, try to not, I try to go for a while without listening to the stuff because I don't want to be, you know, like I'm obsessed with it or anything. But I love listening to the survivor stories. You know, at the ends, oh, me too, but I make a point at the anniversary, usually starting 9/1 through then. Yeah. And I was watched the party yesterday when they were doing the reading off the names. You know, I love to hear it when the people get up there and they'll read off the names and then they'll get to the last one and say my uncle so and so or my aunt or my mom, whoever it was that person was to them, and they tell little stories about them or quick little facts about them or whatever. That to me makes it um, so much more real, so much more humanizing, I guess. They weren't just you hear 3,000 people. Hello, hello home. But you hear about 3,000 people that happened to, and I guess for me it didn't really hit me at that time. How, okay, St. Colonel Hogan. No, let's see. I Hey guys, I'm sorry guys. I really don't like to do vertical like this, but if I were to do it through StreamYard, it's hard for me to see the chat, so that's why I do it this way. But I know doing this way you're gonna get trolls. Anyhow, um, yeah, Kathy Ann, um, I don't know if you've ever watched or heard the story of Stanley Prainmuth and Brian Clark, I think was his name. That is one of my favorite Survivor stories. Cinderella, yes, I love that too. All the preteens giving the speeches to people they never knew but have heard stories of. Exactly. There was one yesterday. The this kid was saying, and to my Uncle John, I hear that I'm a lot like you, and I wish I could have, basically, and said, basically said, I wish I could have met you or whatever. It's pretty cool. I know. But anyhow, like I said, this probably won't be a really long chat. Really long stream. I just mostly wanted to sit out here with you guys and have coffee because it feels so good out here this morning. Hey, Sophia. I appreciate you guys showing up at the last minute here. Like I said, this was not planned. And I'm not out here exactly by myself. You'll have to ignore my messy porch. I haven't swept it in a while. I have. Stop that. As soon as I turn the camera on you, you're going to start that. Jasper. You want to say good morning? Jasper. He is. Sorry, y'all. He is far too busy watching all the neighbors. Not that there's anybody out here, but he's going to make sure. It's having T45 and raining. I think it's a little overcast here, so it's not like. It looks like it might rain in a little while, but I'm not sure. And I think last time I looked, it was about 65 or so, 65 or 70. I'm not sure. Either way, this is the kind of weather I really love. Fall is my favorite time of year. Hey, Tiff. So yeah, he has the dog. He loves when we come and sit out here. I think he really wishes I would put him on his lead and let him like roam around the front yard, but he tends to dig holes. So I'm not doing that this morning. I didn't feel like trying to keep him from digging holes. No. Gnome said I need to build an ark if this keeps up. Hi, Aaron. Thank you. But yeah, we'll start calling you Noah instead of Gnome. Yeah, I hear we'll probably get a little bit off of those hurricanes that are hitting Texas and whatever. We'll probably get some of the weather off those. We usually do. Not like anything horrible, but just the outer bands, the rain or whatever. Jasper, you want to say hi? No, he's still busy guarding the neighborhood. He wants to prepare you for the pool you should build. Hey, if anybody in this family wants a pool, they got to go to my parents' house. So he's gonna. I would say he could go. Hush. I would say he could go dig a hole over there, but my parents would not be happy with that. Sorry, guys. I can't get loud. Jasper. Sorry, y'all. He saw another dog. Did it ever get above a cat too? I really don't know. I don't know. That Keela McDonald would be the one to ask that. She's out. Yeah, that's her neck of the woods. So hang on. Hush. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Didn't mean to poke you in the face. You want to say hi now? You want to say hi? Say good morning. Come here, Jasper. Come here. Jasper. Say good morning. There he is. There's that handsome face. That's a good boy. Yes, he's a good boy. Anyway, there's my Jasper. This is my ride or die. So I tell everybody he's my ride or die. Like, I love his little face. So, let's see if we can do it this way. Nope. Here we go. Can you say hi? Now you see yourself. Look. Do you see yourself? No? You hear that dog barking, don't you? Tiff, exactly. And thank you. And he uses those eyes to get away with everything. I can't seem to stay mad at him. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. I will. Ahia? Ahia. I'm sorry if I say your name wrong. Thank you for that. That's my buddy. And out here is where pretty much the only. Well, of course he does. Can't seem to stay mad at him for nothing. I just thought, like I said, this is my kind of weather, and he loves it out here. I have to drag him in when fall comes. I have, let him out to use the bathroom, and I end up having to drag him back inside. So sometimes I just let him stay out there for 2 or 3 hours, until he starts scratching on the door. So if could that face do anything naughty? Yes, he could, very much so, and he gets away with it because it's so cute. This guy over here, I know y'all can't see him now, but he is the only reason we have to employ the latch on my garbage can lid. It's supposed to be for kids. The kid doesn't get into it anymore. It's the dog. And the cats don't even bother the garbage, really. Hi, Kathy. 5:25 a.m. there. Boy, you're up early. What you doing up so early, Kathy? Hey, Tiff, I totally understand. Like I said, the only reason I'm doing this live this way instead of going through StreamYard is because on StreamYard on my phone, I cannot see the chat because it's no matter how big I make it. Tiff says those are divine things in the trash. You just can't understand. Yeah, apparently. And with his big old nose, he smells everything. Kathy, I'm sorry you can't sleep. I know how that feels. I've said it in just a few other. Hey Keith, I said it in a few other chats that I'm not normally a person that can't sleep. Normally, as soon as I lay down, I can be out as quick as I want to be, pretty much. But here lately, I haven't been able to really do that. And I'm sorry my eyes are red, guys. I put my drops in a little while ago. It makes my eyes really red. But here lately, I've been having trouble getting to sleep and staying asleep. And I wake up short of breath, like I can't, like I'm having trouble, drawing a full breath. So I've been referred for a sleep study. They're pretty sure I have sleep apnea. I'm pretty sure I have it. Both my parents do. My dad has it really bad. My mom is fairly mild, but my parents have it real bad. No, I'm so sorry. He says I sleep when it doesn't hurt. Once a week I get 8 full hours maybe. I'm so sorry, no. And Tiff, yeah, I know I've got to do that sleep study. I'm actually the one that Colin. Sorry, y'all. Jasper. I'm the one that called and really pushed for it because I can't function the way that I've been. I get nervous about driving anywhere. I'm afraid I'm going to fall asleep driving. You know, it you know it scares me. Kathy said I slept 6 solid hours, and once I wake up, I'm up. Yeah, I understand that. My husband's the same way. Once he's awake for a while. Now me, I can wake up, get up, do whatever I got to do, and go right back to sleep. Sorry guys, there's something on the screen. There. But yeah. See, I remember when my dad started having his first showing signs of sleep apnea. My dad is one of those. When you're talking to him, he's gonna look right, pretty much making eye contact the whole time. Um, when he's not the type to lay his head back and doze off when you're talking to him. It's just not how he. That's not him. And he started dozing off in the middle of the conversation, so we knew there was something wrong. But he wouldn't go to the doctor because Dad never wanted to go to the doctor. So finally, his sister came up, which is he's got 3 sisters, and his sister Betty came up here, my Aunt Betty, and pretty much told him he was going to the doctor because after he dozed off on her a couple times, she told him that was not right, that that was not the way that he was, and she knew it, and he was going to the doctor. And when did he want to go? Not did he want to go, but when was he going? Sorry guys, I know he's loud. Jasper, stop. She had to wait. Jasper. Hey, you. Wag his tail at me and keep barking. Hey, stop. But Aunt Betty had a way of getting Dad to do things that nobody else could. I guess because she was a lot like him. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Kathy says you're fine, but I say you're loud. But I guess because him and Aunt Betty were a lot alike. Hey, Laura. And Laura says, good morning, Jasper. It does, Sophia. It does. It takes the equally stubborn mule. Now, here's the problem. And very sadly, my Aunt Betty is no longer with us. She passed away a few years ago. So, he does have 2 other sisters and a brother, but they're not quite as stubborn as he is. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Aunt Louise has some luck talking him into stuff. But anyway. And I seem to be a lot like my dad, as far as come here, you want to say hi? Come up here. He wants to say hi again. But as far as physical things, I'm a lot like my dad. Actually, I'm more like my dad's youngest sister. I look a lot like her and talk a lot like her. Thank you guys. He is rotten. If you can't tell, he's just a little rotten. Sophia said to mule it up. Yeah, we need to. Actually, Dad's got to go today. I'm trying to keep my mind off of it, but my dad has to go today to the doctor and get his results from his scan on Tuesday. And there's a chance his cancer is back. They've been watching this spot on Dad's lungs. That they said if it's grown however much, I don't know what the criteria is, but if it's done whatever, then they think it might be his cancer coming back. Hey, Chad. I loved your I loved your live earlier, Chad. I was had me giggling. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, I hope it's not back, but I just have that feeling that it probably is, but hopefully they've caught it in time again. This would be the third round. Um, but he's been coughing lately. He's been coughing a lot lately, so that kind of makes me really nervous. Hey, Kathy. I'm glad that you caught it live too, and thank you. Yeah, thanks, y'all. I've already got a live scheduled for tomorrow night, so but I haven't been able to let y'all know anything before then. Um, I will definitely let y'all know then. For how's he feeling other than coughing? Honestly, I don't really know. Um, sorry. My dad is not one of those types. It doesn't matter how sick he is. He's gonna keep doing what. Hey, Hamina. He's gonna keep doing everything he possibly can. Like when I remember when he was going through chemo before, the doctor told him that he needed to take it easy, and my mom had to practically tie him down to keep him from going to the church, to going and doing work at the church, because that's what he loves to do. Laura, no increased tiredness. See, I really, even if he did feel more tired, he wouldn't let us know. He would do everything he could to hide it. Now, I mean, I know he has, there's been a few times here lately when I've called and he's laying and he's resting on the couch or whatever, which is not necessarily his norm. I'm sorry, guys, my ear is itching like crazy. Not necessarily his norm, but then again, the man's almost 74 years old. So, Sophia says, I got experience getting stubborn dads back in line. It's more or less sticking with it and the eyebrows and the WTF face. Yeah. Yes, Laura, that's exactly. He does his regular routine, and he doesn't. I mean, this man, he's 73 years old, and he can run circles around guys half his age. He comes out here and he mows. Yeah, my husband's disabled. Jasper. Sorry. My husband's disabled. I don't know that he could push a lawnmower, even ride on one. I don't know if his back would allow it. So, Dad comes out here, and honestly, I've never been trusted to mow a yard. Maybe because the one time I tried, I had an electric mower, and I cut the cord in half. They don't trust me with power tools. Anyway, so Dad comes out here, he mows our yard. My sister has a house that she's selling. Right, Laura, exactly. I'm like, how do you do all this? My sister has a house that she's selling, so she's got 2 houses to keep up right now. So Dad will go out to the one that she's selling. He mows her. It's got a huge yard. He goes out there and mows that yard for her, even whether she asks him to or not, which she normally doesn't. Then he'll come over here with the mower and mow over here. He goes home, mows there, and he'll go and mow their yard. Then he's got other stuff that he does around the house. He's got all kinds of project vehicles that he's working on, and I'm like, and if you ask him how he is, I don't care how sick that man is. If you ask him how he feels, he'll say, I'm okay. So, there's a long story to say. Kathy says, I did the same thing. No lawnmower for me. Right. They don't trust me with power tools. I remember once, okay, so my parents own the house I live in. They are my landlords. And Dad was fixing it up before I moved in. Because the man can fix anything. My sister walked in, and Dad had handed me, he'd handed me a couple of his tools. Jasper! Sorry. He handed me a couple of his tools that he was working with. He was switching around doing something, and he said, here, hold these for a minute. And my sister happened to walk in. Jasper. Sorry. My sister happened to walk in, and she said, "What are you doing holding those?" I said, "Dad handed them to me. Look, I have tools." But you know, playful and Dad hollers from the other room, "They don't have the batteries." My sister still took them from me. Anyway, I don't know if they think I'm going to injure myself or them by accident. Kathy said, my dad was always the same. My dad was the same way, always busy, and he would say that he didn't know, however, he said he didn't know, however, had time to go to work. Exactly. My dad retired early so that he could, because he wanted my mom and him to be able to travel, and then Jasper. Then mom ended up not being able to retire yet, so they didn't travel. And then once it wasn't not long after she retired that he started getting sick. So he says they can't fully slow down if they're not used to it. We had Dad on a high dosage of meds because he was so antsy and he still was active as possible. Exactly. Hush! I'm sorry, guys. Gnome says it's better to break down than sit and get rested. Yeah, I guess that's true. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate you doing that. Yeah, I didn't tell anybody I was going live, not even my mods. So that's why I guess that's why none of them are in here. They didn't know. Yeah, my sister and I were talking to my mom at one point. See, we have this thing with my parents. If we want to know how Dad's doing, we ask Mom. If we want to know how Mom's doing, we ask Dad. Because if you ask, they won't tell you. They won't tell you the honest truth, but they'll tell you the truth about the other one. So, like Mom asked us one time when Dad was going through his chemo, she said, my sister and I were sitting there with, I don't know where Dad was at that point. I think he probably was at the church. Anyway, we're all sitting there talking, and we were asking how Dad was feeling, and Mom said, "Why don't y'all ever ask Dad how he's feeling?" I said, I do. Then I call you to find out how he's actually doing, because when you ask him, all he says is, and my sister and I both at the same time went, "I'm okay." Kathy says, my dad retired early too. He came for coffee with me every morning for 25 years. It was wonderful. Oh, I bet. I would love it. I mean, I don't know. See, Dad gets up every morning and does like he does like a Bible study, and then he's got other stuff he does in the mornings. So that's why we don't really get together for coffee or anything. Which I really should start going over there in the mornings and hanging out with them if he's if they're gonna be home. Laura said, yes, my father retired earlier too. I'm glad he did, because my mom passed 18 months later, and then Dad passed 3 years after that. Dad passed of skin cancer, and he too had red hair. I'm sorry. So sorry, Laura. My, I never knew until recently that there really are medical differences with like redheads, because I know Carrie Ann said something about when she got her shots that they had to give her extra anesthesia because she's a redhead. I didn't realize I never realized that was a thing. I'm sorry, guys. He probably just scared all y'all. Jasper, come here. If he really starts carrying on. So yeah, there is huge. You'd think I would know that. One of my best friends growing up was a redhead, a natural redhead. But I never realized it, and she never really mentioned anything about it. The only thing she said about it was that she sunburned easy, and I just thought it's because she had fair skin. Sophia says, my dad retired early for medical reasons and lived it up as much as possible with his illness. See, that's how I think everybody should be that way. Live each day to his fullest. I'm sorry, guys. There's a neighbor out working in their own backyard, and he has decided to tell them he doesn't like it. Hey, Maya. Maya says, OMG, I thought it was Scott sneezing. No, Jasper. See, and that's why I latched the door. Hey, come here and sit down. You're scaring people. And when we're inside, a lot of times, even when I'm streaming inside, he's usually right there with me, but y'all never know it because he's so quiet. Get him out here, it's the exact opposite. But Kathy said Dad got retired as soon as he could. Him and Mom got a fifth wheel and traveled around to all the bluegrass festivals for years. He had a mandolin or a golf club in his hand for years. See that, and that would be so much fun. I think my mom and dad still have the RV. They bought an RV to travel, and they still have it. Um, they, um, they go camping. They go glamping, I guess you call it. Stuff because they really love doing that. But I think they wanted to do more traveling than they have. But Laura said dental freezing doesn't work, and to put you under for surgery requires more juice. I sat up after my gallbladder removal on the gurney and scared the crap out of some of the surgical team. Oh wow, I'm so sorry. I know. See, Kathy Ann said when she went in for her shots that she wasn't as groggy as they thought she should, as she should have been, or as they wanted her to be. And then she told the guy, I guess, her having the cap, I guess she had the cap on or whatever. Maybe he couldn't see her hair. She said, "Oh, I am a natural redhead." He said, "Oh, that explains it." So I never knew that was a thing. Says yes, definitely afraid of Cujo. Yeah, he's a killer, can't you tell? I probably shouldn't say that on YouTube, but Jasper. Sorry, guys. Ignore my mess over here, but Laura said the anesthetist said it's okay, Joel. She's a redhead. Pain tolerance in redheads is very high too. See, I never knew all that. Sophia says we're covert redheads because it presents us brown. Yeah. See, and like I said, I actually had a couple of friends growing up that were redheads. Like, and one of them was it was a guy, and he had like that flaming red hair. You know, and I just thought he was the cutest thing as a teenager. Are you Laura says you're a protective boy. Are you a protective boy? Y'all, I've got a short of him on my channel where he's of him. I don't have my daughter's face on there or anything like that, but I do have a short of him as we were approaching the school to pick up my daughter. He gets so excited. Oh my gosh, he goes crazy for two things. One, they give him treats. And two, because he's missed his girl all day. And he gets so mad when I drop her off in the mornings and she's walking into the school. He throws a fit because they took his girl. I'm sorry, Maya. Maya says now my dog is barking too because thinking he needs to find the barking dog. I'm sorry. Kathy said my mom was a redhead and had high pain tolerance. See, that's just crazy to me. I never knew that. How did I go 47 years without knowing that? No, yeah, it says RVing is not camping, it's RVing. Yeah. We call it, I've heard a lot of people call it glamping. Laura said he wants to go to school with her. Yeah, he would love it. I'm sure all the kids would love that too. Hey, Mina, sorry if you already answered this, but how's the little one doing? Actually, no, I haven't. I didn't even think about it for some reason. She's feeling better. She got her first dose of her allergy medicine last night. They didn't have her cough syrup, so I got to call the doctor in a little while to get them to change it because the the pharmacy, couldn't think of the word for some reason. The pharmacy was out of stock. So, but I mean, it seemed to help. It did seem to help some. She seemed to sleep better. She was still kind of stuffy. But it's every time the season changes, her allergies go crazy. And sometimes it builds up to a sinus infection, so we're trying to stop it from doing that. Yes, it's a dark blonde with so much red pigment that it looks brown, and our pain tolerance and everything is high. Oh, okay. Hey, Shaquille. Sorry, guys, I'm just catching up here. Kathy said, "Yeah, my dad said he got the RV for my mom because she wasn't camping. He called it a $30,000 crapper." That's funny. Hi, Oliver. Okay, Laura, thank you for coming by. I hope you have a good meeting. Yeah, my grandparents, when we were kids, my grandparents had a motorhome, and then my aunt ended up getting one, which we would go. We would go to the races when I was a kid. We would go to the NASCAR races, and we would camp in the in the infield. Sorry, guys, he's trying to do something that's going to end up hurting him. So there's a place under the chair that's broken, and he wants to get under there, and he likes to rub his back on the top and scratch his back, but I'm afraid he's going to hit that broken place and hurt himself. Anyway, so get back to okay. So we would go to the NASCAR races, and we would stay we would camp in the infields, and even though most of my family is about 500 miles away, at least 500 to 600 miles away, including my aunt and uncle, but was one way we would see each other, is they would come up, we would meet at the races, and we would all camp together. Either we would borrow my grandparents' motorhome, or then, once we'd been doing that for a year or so, my aunt and uncle bought a motorhome and we'd use theirs. That's some of my favorite childhood memories. Is camping in the infields with them, and how my cousins would come, or at least one cousin would usually come, and we would have so much fun. And some of the things that were miserable then ended up being stuff we laugh about now. Like the first time we went in my grandparents' tiny little trailer or tiny little motorhome, and there was like 8 of us. It was middle of November, so it was cold, and we couldn't hardly fit all of us into that motorhome. And I remember one of my cousins was like, "I'm gonna go sleep on the roof." It made me go get him. I'm like, "He's your kid. You go get him." No. I mean, he's older than me. A little older than me. I was probably about, I would say, 14 or so at the time. He was like 16, 17. Maybe. No, he was a little old. Let's see. If I think I might have been like 15. He was probably about 22 or something. He's about 7 years older. It made me go drag him in off the roof. And then the next morning, we all woke up, we're all sore from sleeping all cramped and everything. And my uncle's going, "Oh, I feel great. I just feel wonderful." The next day, he was the one hurting the most. So, yeah, that's one of the things we just laugh about. Let's see. Sorry. We're trying to catch up. No, Kathy said, no, it was sad the day my parents sold the RV because my dad got to where he couldn't drive it anymore. It broke my heart. Oh, yes. I'm not going to understand that. The day my parents have to sell their RV, it's going to hurt me too. Oh, this is boogity boogity boogie. Let's go racing. I was practically raised on a track. My dad had a drag car. a drag racing car that he drove on the weekends for a while. Just amateur drag racing, nothing professional. Um, every weekend we were at the track, and then even once he stopped racing, we were still going to the NASCAR races. Came from the infield. He's gonna get loud. Come here, Jasper. My neighbor's coming by. Hold on.
Good morning, good morning. He don't want nothing of that.
Sorry. See ya. Sorry. Sorry, guys. My neighbor. Come here. Come here. Come. Hang on a second. Jasper. Oh. Sorry. My neighbor just came by. He has a we've been like this guy we've known for a long time. Even before we moved into the house, my mom worked with his wife for a long time. They have a lab that is like the biggest baby. He doesn't think he's a big dog. He doesn't think he's a big dog, but he is. Jasper barked at him and he ran. Stop it. Jasper started barking and he ran. Even the neighbor he started laughing. He said, Harley don't want none of him. And Jasper wants to play. And Harley's like, nope. Anyway, so yes, we were pretty much raised on a track. My dad had an old 1970 Plymouth that used, would you hush? It used to belong to my aunt. That he took that 1970 Plymouth and turned it into a drag car. So it was. I was crew chief for a pro truck. This is from no, I'm sorry. So I was crew chief for a pro truck when I lived in Colo. We never won, but sure had fun. Oh wow, that would be pretty cool. And Kathy said, "My brother is the same way. He loves to go races. So I would love to go to the horse races myself. Ooh, I would love that. Now we never did go to horse racing. It was always cars. I would love to go." Sorry guys, I'm just trying to catch up. Yeah, just our fan. Hey, my dad will watch anything racing. Especially vehicles. I mean, he's not necessarily into horse racing that much, but vehicles, yes. But sorry, nose itching. And of course, I hate to say this, probably, I think a lot of people would say the same thing, but it's a little morbid. My favorite part of watching the NASCAR races and stuff was the wrecks. Watching what happened. But I remember my dad's favorite driver was Dale Earnhardt, and my aunt's favorite driver was Davey Allison. And I don't know if y'all remember, but back when both of them were alive and still racing, they were almost always like neck and neck, right there together. My dad and my aunt would be on top of that motorhome, elbowing each other back and forth. Grown adults elbowing each other. My man's gonna win. No, my man's gonna win. We just were waiting to see who was gonna knock who off of the motorhome first. Kathy said, "Me too. It's not a race without a good crash." Yeah, exactly. I did. One thing I really loved is I got to go to Richard Petty's last race, and I think he ended up wrecking, and the car caught fire. We always said he went out in a blaze of glory. So that's a good memory. Gnome said, Kathy, horses are fun, but give me a race car, more horsepower. Yeah. That race car my dad's ran, I remember it ran on jet fuel. And in their neighborhood, we lived kind of at the top of the hill. And then down towards the bottom of the hill was another guy that drove race cars. And he would a lot of times make a hush. Sorry. He's barking at Harley again. Hold on. Sorry, guys. He may get loud again. He he wants to play, but Harley doesn't want to play. Anyway, no said never been to a horse race, but greyhounds. Um, I've never been to a greyhound race. Sorry, Hooger. Yes, I was muted for a minute because my dog was going crazy. Hey, Sandy Wendy. I was muted for about 45 minutes on a live. I could see myself doing that. Hopefully. Sorry. Hold on. Hold on. Sorry, y'all. Usually when my neighbor walks by, his dog's name is Harley. I'll go out and pet Harley if I'm out here. Because he's a very sweet dog. But, yeah, he doesn't. Jasper wants to play, and Harley is running from him, and Harley is a chocolate lab. So he makes like at least 2 or 3 of Jasper. He's running from him. Sorry guys, I'm looking through here. Trying to catch up. Oh, okay, so I know what I was going to say. No, you mentioned you've been to greyhound races. My parents, when they... Hey, Twyla. Sorry if I say that wrong. My parents, when, Sorry, he's kidding. I'm sorry. My parents, when they were first married, my dad's grandfather owned racing greyhounds. Yes, Kathy, they are. Kathy said lovers, not fighters, and big babies. Yeah, for sure. Would you hush? Sorry. But my dad's grandfather had racing greyhounds. So my mom and dad, when they were first married, would a lot of times would go down to the track and watch the dogs. Well, there was one dog in particular that they fell in love with. I may have this backwards. Stop it. Sorry. His race, I may have this backwards. I think his race name was Casper and his call name was George. But I could have that backwards. Um, my parents just fell in love with George. Sophia's Sophia said to tell you less small dog energy, and he might have played with you. Maybe next time, huh? But anyway, they kind of fell in love with George. But when they went, Sandy, yes, that's Jasper. But I mean, since some of y'all just came in, Jasper. He's looking to see if Harley's going to come back. No, they're already home. He's not coming back. He already went back to his house. Anyway, they kind of fell in love with George. Casper, whichever. I think his call name was George. So when my grandfather went to retire him at that time, this is back in like the early 70s. A lot of times when they would retire him, the dogs would be euthanized. And I think my great grandfather, I guess, he never really agreed with that practice, but so he would always try to get around it, or try to get his dogs rehomed or whatever. But anyway, so when it came time for George to retire, he offered him to my parents. Kathy said my friend used to adopt retired greyhound racers, and I've heard of a lot of people doing that. I would love to do that one day, just because of this story here mostly. But my parents, they fell in love with George. So when it was time for him to retire, my great grandfather let them have him. I remember my dad said that the first time when they first got him, he decided he was going to take George out for a run. Yeah, Dad was running full speed, and George was barely trotting. Dad said that my grandparents lived out on an old dirt road, so he would go out there on that old dirt road, and he would end up going like 40 miles an hour, holding in his convertible. He had a convertible of some kind at that point, and he would be holding George's leash over the. He'd have the top down, holding George's leash over the, the door, letting George run beside him, and he'd be going like 40 miles an hour, and that was the only way George would get his run in. And I agree. All the greyhounds I've ever met were very good dogs, very sweet dogs. I have a friend that has one. I'm sure she's getting a lot older now, but she's a really sweet girl. But, the way that George was, they ended up, George got lost, I guess you'd say. They lost George because my uncle asked to take George for a walk, and my dad told him, you can take him walking. He said, but you make sure that he said, don't try, what was it? He said, don't let him run, or if he's basically telling him to hang on to the leash and don't let him take off. He said, you'll never catch him. Well, my uncle didn't really pay heed, I guess, or pay attention. And George spotted a rabbit. Hey, Ben. But George spotted a rabbit while they were out walking, and he took off after that rabbit, and they never could find him. So anyhow, and from what I understand, the dog racing industry is not a good one. Sophia said they need a lot of movement. People have to be prepared for that. Exactly. My grandparents had like 22 acres, so they would take him out, running on those 22 acres and up and down the dirt road and stuff. Kathy said my friend would take the dogs to the woods and let them run. He would be on a dirt bike. Yeah, that's a good idea. Hey, COD. Good. Let's see. Kathy said, no, it's not a good thing. It's sad. It is. It really is. You know, those animals don't ask for that life. Um, so, I don't remember what I was going to say now. Oh, I remember now. My parents, see, and my parents also had horses before we were born. They would, they kept them out on my grandparents' property. Like I said, they had about 22 acres. They had two horses. They were named Chief and Cherokee. And Chief was a stallion, or yeah, I think he was a stallion, and Cherokee was a mare. And Chief was known. Chief would only the only person that could really ride him was my dad. They said that you know they said that he was he was real hard to handle. So Dad would have to ride him, and Cherokee on the other hand was very gentle. So that was Mom's horse. And Dad said he said they were all the time getting calls, you know, when they were out. They got my grandparents, and they were all the time getting calls going, "Your horse is running down the lane again." No, says talking about the greyhounds. Yeah, they were bred for one thing, to catch that rabbit. Exactly, and that's what George did. He spotted a rabbit, and he was gone. But my dad said he was all the time having to run out and get on Cherokee bareback, take off down the road to catch Chief because he would jump the fence. So they tried like building higher fences, things like no, he was getting out. But one funny story I remember, my uncle, bless his heart, my dad's brother, he's like a year younger than my dad, and he was, even though they're very different people, he still wanted to. He still very much admired his big brother, and he wanted to do a lot of the things my dad did, but their interests weren't the same. Hey, Shelly. Kathy Scoggins, I had a quarter horse named Brandy after Christian Brothers Brandy. I love that horse. I would love to have a horse. That's like my dream. That's my dream. No, so they run dog teams hooked to wheelers in the summer to exercise the teams. I've had a lot of huskies. I've had huskies for a long time. Um, Up until now, that would be so much fun to have a dog team. So if he has horses that recognize the actual authority, and you can't impress them with anything other than calm authority. Exactly. Tiff says we had a jerk of a stallion, got him a donkey, and he was happy as could be. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. But so my uncle wanted to do a lot of things my dad did, even though their interests were so different. But anyway, he wanted to ride Chief, and Dad told him, he said, you can't. He said, he's not going to let you. He said, the only person that can ride Chief is me. And Dad wasn't being mean. He was just telling him. He's like, no, I can do it. I can do it. Dad said, all right, go ahead. Well, so my uncle takes off riding Chief. My dad and my grandfather were finishing up. Thank you, Sandy Wendy. I appreciate you sharing those channels. My dad ends up he was out this. Let's see, I'm trying to get sidetracked. My dad was outside building he was outside building there was a fence around my grandmother's garden. Him and my grandfather had just finished building this fence, and we're just putting up the last of the fence when my dad said he hears my uncle yelling, I can't make him stop. Here comes Chief crashing through the brand new fence. Doesn't bother to jump it. He crashed through it because my uncle couldn't stop him and he couldn't guide him. Chief was not listening to him until Dad said, he just whistled and said, Chief, and he stopped. But by then, he'd already destroyed the new fence. My dad didn't. I don't think he still let my uncle live that one down. And they're in their 70s. And this happened when they were in like their early 20s. Let's see. Sorry, guys, I'm catching up. To Sandy, I never owned a horse but used an elk hunting. See, I've been horseback riding a few times, and I've always wanted one. They've always been like my favorite animal. Kathy says, when I was a teenager, I used to go horseback riding every summer, and I loved it. I would love to go again, but my old bones would not handle it. Yeah, that might be a problem for me too. Sophia says, my grandma grew up on a breeding farm. She always got the wild horses because she was fierce with butter thighs. You learn to use the thighs from her. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Brandy thought he was the boss and took off with me back to the barn. I had to make him walk back to the pasture and walk back to the barn. He didn't do it again. I was on a stepladder to get on the horse. Yeah, I hear you. Tiff said my first horse when I was a kid was a show horse that now had one eye. She was amazing. Oh, that's so sweet. That's okay, Ben. He says, sorry y'all having to map while I listen. That's okay. Yeah, I've always wanted a horse. Never got to have one. Now my parents did briefly look into getting us one, and I don't remember what happened with that. I think something fell through on those deals. So, we never had the property, but we were looking at like boarding one, and I think that might have been part of the issue was the boarding fees and all that. Because my grandparents, by then, they lived 500 miles away. Now, had we lived down there, we might have been able to have horses and keep them out on their land. But by that point, we lived 500 miles away. My mom had a cousin that bit the horse's back when they tried the dominance game. Yeah. I don't know how my dad did it, but they said he handled Chief really well. But now when my parents were married for 4 years before they had my sister. Well, almost 4 years before they had my sister. So they were married, I guess, 3 years before she got pregnant. Well, she was, the doctor told her while she was pregnant that she couldn't ride. She was having some issues or whatever, and she couldn't ride. So, they ended up selling the horses because Dad didn't want to ride without her. Well, no, I can't really say they gave or sold Chief back to the guy that they got him from because he was the only other person besides Dad that knew how to handle him. And they gave Cherokee, they donated her to a boys ranch where troubled kids or whatever out there that would learn to take care of the horses and stuff. And because she was very gentle. Let's see. No, it says I was homestead setting up this spring for a horse named Magnus. I was reaching over the fence to give him a head scratch, and my belly hit the electric fence and right into poor Magnus's head. Oh, poor you and poor him. Right, we had a dog growing up that was not our dog. He was our neighbor's dog. He was a black lab named Clyde. Clyde knew how to open fences. Like, he knew to flip the latch with his nose, and then he would pick up, the stake thing. He'd pick it up with his teeth and just walk forward. So he knew how to get out of fences. You were saying electric fences, so it made me think of Clyde. They ended up having to get an electric fence to keep him in. So he and I had a shocking experience. It took me a few days and a bag of carrots to get back on his good side, I bet. But it's maybe it was, I think, of electric fences. I think of Clyde, because that's eventually ended up being the only way they could keep Clyde contained. Um, they anyway, I remember Clyde used to run the neighborhood when we were kids. He would run the neighborhood, and not everybody knew Clyde. He was, very rarely left. I don't think he ever left the neighborhood. Now, the animal control did pick him up once or twice, but they picked him up in the neighborhood. And anyway, that was a whole other story. Just people being mean. Because anyway, he would. I remember there was a few times. There's a few times when we figured out that there was a female in heat somewhere nearby, even though he was fixed. I guess he could still tell. But anyway, he went through the neighborhood. I remember one time he went through the neighborhood, or probably more than once actually. He went through the neighborhood, flipping open fences, opening gates, looking in, and letting everybody's dogs out. And then the dogs would follow him. So after that, my dad called him the Pied Piper, because he was letting, because all the dogs were following along behind him as he let them out of the fence. And all the neighbors were out there trying to catch their dogs out of this dog pack. It was pretty funny. The only reason our dog didn't follow us because he was on a chain in a fence, because he was an escape artist. But Clyde would ring the doorbell when the little girl whose mom, her mom owned him, when she was in the house playing, and he was looking for her, he would ring our doorbell. He'd open the door, and there'd be Clyde looking for his girl. Every time she was in our backyard playing, he would open the gate and come on in. And I remember one night, he was solid black, but we knew he was there. So even at night, we knew to watch for him, just in case he was out there in the yard hanging around. But and all you had to do is go home, Clyde. He'd go back to his house. Just as I love those little doggies' relationships, I do too. But he just go on back to his house. He'd just tell him, "Go home, Clyde." Well, my grandmother, they were visiting from Florida, and we warned her when we got to the house. We had been out shopping or whatever, and it was dark when we got home. And we warned her when we got home. We said, "Look, when you open the door," sorry guys, hush. You were doing good. Hush. Come here. When you first open the car door, Clyde liked to stick his head in, just to, I guess, say hello or whatever. So we warned her. We said, when you open the car door, Clyde will probably stick his head in. She said, okay. She opened the car door, and he stuck his big old head in, and it still scared her. Even though we warned her, it still scared her. And she screamed bloody murder. We were dying laughing, and poor Clyde just looked shocked, like, what did I do? Kind of backed up for a minute, and it was so funny. We said, we warned you he was going to stick his head in. So he says, Jasper, if you want to play, you need to tone it down exactly. Oh, Holly's done gone home. They live just a few houses down. He done gone home. They walk every morning. They walk up and down the street, and then usually in the evenings they'll walk up and down again. Thank you, Sandy. But guys, this was supposed to just be like a 20-minute live. Look at me over here, over an hour later. I so appreciate you guys coming to hang out with me. Anyway, guys, like I said, hopefully we're going to be getting my dad's test results later. Hopefully we'll find out whether or not his cancer has returned. So I have to text my mom later and see what time that's supposed to be. I can't remember. She's told me he's got 2 different appointments today. Anyhow, I think I am going to go ahead and start to wrap it up here. I'm going to go in and hopefully get some breakfast. I haven't ate yet. I'm getting hungry. Just says, I'm thankful you were on. I needed a slow wake up and wish your family the best with your dad. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Sorry. Guys, please don't forget to hit the like button. And if, definitely not, what's the word I'm looking for? Not required or anything, but it definitely would be appreciated if you do wish to support the channel in any way financially. I've got my Buy Me a Coffee that's in my channel description. I need to get it into my video descriptions, but I keep forgetting. Kathy said, it's a good morning. I'll be keeping good thoughts and good reports for your dad. Thank you so much. Sophia says, you'll figure it out either way it goes. That's right. I definitely will. Anyhow, I guess, come here, Jasper. Jasper. Let's see if we can get Jasper on here one more time before we say bye. Come here. Get up here, you silly. Come here. Good boy. You want to tell everybody bye? And say sorry I've been so loud. Say sorry I've been such a loud mouth. Yeah. Barky barky. Alright guys, thank you for joining me. I will see you all. I do have a live coming up tomorrow. Tomorrow night. I'm going to do it like an open panel type thing, where I'll drop the link in the chat, and anybody that wants to come up and talk to me can do that. Just in no specific topic, just kind of letting our hair down. Stress release, I guess, at the end of the week. I hope you guys have a great day. I love you all. Kathy's, all we can do is take things as they come. Bye, Jasper. Kathy says, bye, Jasper. I hope y'all all have a great day. Thank you. Sophia called you a cutie paw. And everybody's telling you bye. Can you say bye? Love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great day.